Welcome to the Wealth Matters podcast, where investors come together to better understand how to build passive cash flow and create generational wealth without all the confusing mumbo-jumbo. Here's your host and co-author of Amazon #1 bestseller, Alpesh Pamar.
Welcome to Wealth Matters podcast. I am going to talk to Mr. Chris Craddock today. He's the founder and CEO of the Redux Real Estate Group. It's a nationally acclaimed real estate team. He's also the host of the Uncommon Real Estate podcast, and I wish he'll invite me someday. A realtor, real estate investor, and coach and entrepreneur who runs multiple successful businesses in the DC metro area. So I am looking forward to this episode for one reason, is that he's a realtor as well as a real estate investor. Because a lot of time, I talk to the realtors and they don't have any clue about what investors are looking for, right? And on the second side, he's also an entrepreneur. So I want to know how he's able to run multiple businesses, because that's what I've been trying to do. So looking forward to this episode, Chris.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. I always love to be with other people that are killing it and doing great in their industry. And so, yeah, this is going to be fun to hang together for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. So we always start with this question. Tell us something interesting or funny about yourself.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. How about, I have 6 kids.
Yes. That's a tough one. I'm struggling with 2.
Man, well, I was struggling from the beginning. I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't know what I was doing thinking about having 6 kids. It's crazy. Yeah, I got a doctorate in leadership, 6 kids, and I love to, I don't know, I think I probably get the maturity of a 10-year-old. So those are the things about me. So I like to have fun, joke around, and all that.
So your wife has trouble, then she has to handle 7 kids.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So let's talk about real estate. When and how did you start investing in real estate?
Yeah. So I got into real estate early 2000s. I was on staff at an organization called Young Life. Changed my life. It was just such a great ministry geared towards high school students at the time.
Okay.
But I made $20,000 a year, which I was okay with from Young Life, loving doing it. But when my wife got pregnant, you can't live on $20,000 a year in the DC area.
So, you need a meter for a month, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, so I know you need 20,000 grand a month.
It doesn't work. And so I went to the library because it was before the internet just became what the internet is now, and checked out every book on real estate investing. And almost like an idiot, one of my favorite phrases in life is massive imperfect action. Imperfect action trumps perfect inaction any day of the week. And so I just started,
right.
Oh yeah. I mean, just move, right? Do something. Just don't stand still. And so I just started knocking on doors of distressed properties. And in 4 months, I made about 12 times what I made in a year. And
wow,
that was kind of the start of some of the real estate stuff I was doing.
So when you start knocking on the doors, what exactly did you do? Did you wholesale it? Did you buy the property and rent it out? What was your criteria?
It was before the crash. So I was able to buy with 5% down. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, buying 5% down. So the first deal I bought ended up being a wholesale, really, because we got into it. And before I didn't even know what the word wholesale meant, but basically what wholesaling is you buy it and you just put it right back up the same way you bought it. And so I did that. We made, I don't know, like me and I brought in a business partner. We made like 40 grand. It was crazy just to buy it and put it back up. And so I was like, okay. And then that was kind of the seed money to start doing some more deals and really get it going right there. So it was great. I mean, just knocked on the doors and said, hey, I know these were all people going to auction. Now, if you get that same list, they're almost all short sales. Even in this market, most of them are still short sales. Well, right now there's a moratorium, so there's not a list.
No, that is crazy. It's crazy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the deal. Just went and said, hey, I'll buy your house if you need to sell. And they all said, yeah. And so we just started buying and got it going.
That's interesting. So you started buying, you started investing. And did you only then do real estate? Did you leave all the work, or if you had any other jobs, you started only focusing on real estate?
No, I stayed in ministry. I continued to do ministry. I used the money that I made by flipping houses to be able to stay in ministry. And then, what was it? I bought my first rental in 2008 because at the time I was in ministry and I don't believe that Social Security was my retirement fund. So I bought a rental property because I was like, man, if I could buy 1 or 2 rental properties, then they'll be paid off by the time I retire. And that's my retirement. And I'd prefer that to stocks or anything else. So I thought about that was what I wanted to do. And then I guess 2011, I started, the money started running out really, really fast. I was still doing ministry. The money started running out really fast. I was doing all these side gigs and stuff to make ends meet. And I'm like, why am I doing that? Why wouldn't I just go back and start flipping real estate again? So I started flipping properties. At that point, they were all short sales because the market had crashed. Everything I was knocking on. And it was before the banks changed their algorithm. So you could make a lot of money flipping short sales. I'll tell you, one of my favorite deals, I bought it for 99 grand. Went from septic to public sewer and painted the place and sold it for 258. Right.
Whoa.
So it was incredible. It was incredible.
That's huge.
Yeah. So it was just an awesome deal there. But with that said, because I got my real estate license, I had a doctorate in leadership. I always led large teams when I was in ministry. I read Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yes. Great book.
And it made me decide, hey, this is one of the things I want to do. So I started building a real estate team, regular retail. And then I also, about a year or two into it, I realized that I was really good on the investor side and finding deals. So then I found a way to marry those two together, and our retail team grew really, really fast. Within the first 5 years, I think we did last year was year 5, and we did just under 170 million in volume, over 500 transactions. Yeah, it was crazy. I have 9 other businesses, all mainly in the real estate space, that we're working with, coaching, title, insurance, construction, legal business, like all these different pieces in the real estate space. That's part of the real estate flywheel. And so that's kind of the whole process.
So from investor, you became an agent, and you just mentioned that then you figured out how to marry agents and investors. So how did you first come up with the idea for how agents and investors could partner together?
Yeah. So when I realized that a lot of the best deals you're going to get, there's 2 ways to find amazing deals. The first one is you go out and find the deal yourself, right? The second one is you get strategic partnerships where people bring you deals. And so since I was really good at finding deals, and I'd get more deals than I could buy at any given point in time. I'm right now, I found a deal that's really an amazing rental, but because I'm in the process of buying a rental right now, like a pretty big Airbnb rental, like a 7-figure property that will Airbnb and be just an incredible property. I'm in the process of that. I was like, I don't want to buy the other one right now. So I brought in another investor to buy it. So that's one of the things that I looked at. I'm like, okay, well, I can find these properties that people are dying for. Literally, people hire real estate agents to help them find deals. And real estate agents, literally, I have a bunch of real estate agents that are my clients. They really have a real estate license, and they're like, hey, I'll pay you as my agent if you bring me these off-market deals, if you bring me these deals. And so learning how to find these deals, it's really powerful. I got so many friends that are like, yeah, I'm going to get a real estate license because I want to be able to find the deals. Yeah. And I'm like, real estate agents don't know how to find deals. Like, that's not it. No. You got to find the right person that has a nose for the deal. Right. That's where you find it.
Yeah, even the wholesalers can find the deal, but real estate agents can't. So yeah, a lot of my friends ask me all the time, why don't you get a real estate agent license? And I'm like, I don't need to. I don't want to. That's not my forte. Right. I love talking to people. I love managing the asset. That's what I enjoy. I rely on realtors all the time, even in my local or other markets, right? So yeah, it's a great point. You came up with this idea, and I know what we want to talk about is how agents and investors can earn new income streams together. So how do you marry it?
Yeah, so the big thing that we're doing is to marry everything is seeing if I'm marketing to a lot of investors, right? Or a lot of distressed sellers, or if there's another investor, let's say this is one of the big things for us. A lot of investors, they mail out or market directly to sellers, and they'll get a bunch of calls. Well, if you're an investor, you're going to want to buy at like 65 to 85 cents on the dollar, right? Well, what about all the people that respond and say they want to sell at 95 cents on the dollar, right? They just go into your CRM, they die, right? You just move on. or maybe follow back up with them and they're going to sell with somebody else. Well, if you can work through, and this is the program that I created, the REI Revive program, part of Wholesaling Inc. If you can work through to build a relationship with a real estate agent that can list those properties that where people want to sell at 95 cents on the dollar, you can make a lot of money. But here's the problem. They call the people that are responding and want to sell at 95 cents on the dollar. They don't want to talk to a real estate agent. And so that's that whole process is how do you build that process out so that you can make a ton of money when they would just be sitting there dying. And I actually I'll tell you, I have brand new real estate investors that are marketing directly to sellers where they're making more money doing this. I mean, literally it's like $10,000 a month doing this than they are in their wholesaling business and their other business. I've got some big wholesalers that I've got one guy that literally we've been sending him $60,000 checks every month. Somewhere between 55 and 62,000 is kind of what we've been averaging, which these were deals that were just sitting dead in their database. And they're making about $750,000 in money that they've already paid for. So that to me is just where it gets so crazy. It's like, man, if you have people that say they want to sell, there is money, mountains of cash to be found there that people are just leaving dead in their database.
Oh, so interesting. So basically you work with wholesalers who already have some of these deals in their database. Is that how it?
That's a big piece of it. I teach wholesalers how to monetize their dead leads, people that are doing fix and flip, how to monetize their dead leads, and people that are doing buy and hold. If anybody that has leads coming in should be able to monetize those leads.
Got it.
That's what REI Revive.
So basically the idea is that if you have leads coming in, you got to be able to identify some of those leads. You may mark them as dead leads, but you want to be able to identify and reignite pretty much those leads and look into those. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay. Can you share an example with us, maybe a deal or maybe just how it worked from start to finish?
Yeah, sure. So, we have it's a pretty long process to create the system that actually works, because when you listen, you're like, oh yeah, I can just go get a real estate agent and I give them my deal and that's it, right? That's easy. And if it were that easy, everybody would do that. But I'll tell you, almost everybody has tried to do that has any leads coming in, and it just doesn't work. Like they're shocked. They're like, why don't I make any money on this? Why is it so hard? Why don't you go close? Nice. And I was just talking to a buddy of mine who has like a massive wholesaling business right outside Detroit. And he's just like, man, I send out hundreds and hundreds of these leads every month. And he said, it's shocking to me when I get paid. He says, I'm shocked by it because I get paid that little. So a perfect example is, let's say you're sending out mailers, right? A bunch of people respond and say, hey, I'm interested in selling. And then you find out that they want to sell close to retail value. Well, what you do is there's some setups so that you can receive the referral, which we won't get into right now. It's just more in depth. But essentially you set up an appointment for this agent that you've vetted, that you've trained, and again, you just can't get just any normal agent. You have to pick the agent correctly, because these people do not call agents. They're calling investors. It's a specific type of seller, right? They want to talk to an investor. So you need to talk to an agent that knows how to close these kind of deals. They go in, they close the deal based on the setup that you have. When they close the deal, they send you 35% of everything they make on the deal. And then you're cooking with gas. So depending on the price point, your market, you're in San Francisco. So like everything that you sell, you're looking at, $1 million houses, $5 million houses.
Yeah, everything starts at million. Nothing starts at less than $1 million.
So that's the deal right there. A $1 million house, every single thing that somebody sends you, let's see, you're getting a $10,000 check for everyone that closes minimum. So that's kind of the deal. And you can pay for a whole heck of a lot of marketing with a $10,000 check, right? But then you go to another place and, maybe it's a smaller amount, or even like, we're in Baltimore as well, right? Baltimore, we'll have maybe $400,000 houses, but we'll also have $12,000 houses.
Yes.
And so you set it up so that you have flat fee numbers so that it's worth your time. You sell a $12,000 house, you have a $4,000 flat fee commission. So you can set it up so that it's worth your time and so that you're actually making real money. And I'll tell you, most people can make more money off these dead leads than they do on their regular business.
I have a couple of questions about this.
Sure.
One is that you mentioned that this sellers, so they want to talk to investors. When a wholesaler or another investor who has called this seller brings in a real estate agent, how does that work? How do you introduce that agent if the seller is already or does not want to talk to an agent? How do you introduce the agent, and what would you do? Convince the seller.
The word agent or realtor needs to be out of your vocabulary.
Okay.
The second you use that word, you've lost, right?
Okay.
50% of the deals that you would get will be dead if you use that word. You do not want to use the word realtor, right? That's it. You just set the appointment just like you would any normal appointment. That's it. You just set the appointment and send the person out, and they've got to know their script. And that's part of what we teach is how to script it, because when you go in the house, they want a cash offer. They want an immediate offer. So the person needs to be able to give them that, because it needs to not be a bait and switch. They need to basically give them their 3 option, right? The rule of 3. There's a rule of 3 in sales. If you have too many options, there's something called the paradox of choice, where people take no options. But if you give them 3 options, they feel like they're in control and they feel good about it, right? But you want to lead them to the right option, because if you ask the right questions, people will tell you how to sell them. Yeah. And so you're asking these questions up front so that you know, okay, this person's likely to take a cash offer. Okay, you never want to, you say, listen, I'm a licensed agent, but there's more licensed agents than there are active listings. You spend more time getting certified to cut hair than you do get a real estate license.
Yes.
So
I agree.
You push them away from the regular agent piece, or the hybrid model where we connect the investor and the regular retail deal so that they can get more money for their house. So that's kind of the deal. And depending on where they want to go and depending on what's best for them, you kind of lead them in the direction of what's best for them.
So another question which popped up now is that how do you then sell that property if you are not able to put it on the market, right? If you are not telling the seller that, or you may kind of that you have to tell them that you are an agent in the end, but then how do you sell the property?
I mean, they end up signing a regular listing agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you put it on the market. And, here's the deal. There's 5 reasons why somebody calls an investor. And so if you understand that, like 1, they don't want to pay agent commission. 2,
right.
they want to sell quick. 3, they think it's too messed up for the MLS. 4, they want privacy. They don't want, maybe they're a hoarder or something. They don't want their neighbors to see it. Or 5, they don't want people coming through at all hours of the day. And so if you understand that people are going through calling an investor for one of those 5 reasons, you can give them their hybrid answer based on those 5 reasons, which ones they're worried about. And you give them the hybrid model so that they'll sign. And then you solve the problem for them, right? The people that make the most money in the world are the ones that solve most people's problems.
Yes, of course. So, okay. So now it makes sense. Then it's listed and you sell it. And of course, I'm pretty sure you have a database of investors as well who may jump on that deal before even it goes to market.
Yeah. And in today's market, I mean, literally,
right?
Like just think about it. Most people, you said that a lot of people on this they listen to this podcast, have a bunch of money, they're in IT or whatever, and looking to put their money places. Well, literally, I've got lots of friends like that, and they're happy to pay fair market value for rental properties, knowing that appreciation, principal buy down, the government subsidized interest rates, all that stuff makes it a good bet and a good investment, which it does. But when you as an agent can connect, literally, I connect with a lot of these folks that have money that are looking to put them down into properties. And if you can buy at a 5% discount, you're pretty happy. And especially with that, like where I can literally set people up all day, every day on a 5% discount on properties everywhere where they're cash flow, they cash flow, they have a discount where almost everybody is paying fair market value. I mean, it's very easy to sell. And so half the time we don't even have to go on the MLS. We can just, I got a buyer. Literally that deal I told you about right now that I'm working on, I knew it was a great deal. I just put it out there to the buyers and said, hey, anybody looking for something that it's probably a $50,000 equity play and it'll cash flow right now. Anybody interested? And literally within, it was less than 2 minutes later, my phone rang and they're like, I want it. I'm like, okay, done. And so it happens pretty and we get those every single day.
So another question I have is that then you mentioned about paying the wholesaler from realtor's commission. So doesn't the wholesaler need to be an agent? How do you usually pay? Because I was also working on with some agents as well.
Yeah. So if you look at most investment groups, all of the big ones, there's somebody, either the main guy or somebody in their organization is licensed, right? And
Got it.
success leaves clues. So if they're all doing that, then there's a question there that we should ask. Why are they doing it? I personally think that every investor should be licensed. I know that's a move from where it used to be everybody's like, I don't want to be licensed. I want to stay so far away from that. I don't want anything to do with that. But I do believe that there's a change because of technology and because of people's buying habits being more instant. I think being able to offer more opportunities is huge. Plus, if you are a massive influence in the real estate space, people are going to call you, like all your friends are going to call you when they're buying and selling, and then you can refer it out. And I mean, literally make tens of thousands of dollars every single month just by saying, hey, let me put you in touch with one of the best agents in your area. Boom, you put them in touch and you're making referral fees. I think it's a no-brainer if you're doing anything, becoming at all influential in the world you live in the real estate space. I think you should be licensed. But if not, there's other opportunities. You bring somebody into your organization, and then even easier than that, 25% of all licensed real estate agents do 0 deals a year, 0. No deals at all. So you can bring somebody that does 0 deals in, and there's a way to get them to come in, bring them in to essentially run the referral side of your business.
Got it. No, that makes sense. That's a great advice. Hey, so let's, I think this was awesome. I have another question, and this is not just related to overall real estate, because you run multiple businesses related to real estate. What do you think of the stock market, real estate, and cryptocurrencies, as all of them are at all-time high right now? What's going on? The inflation and everything. What do you think? Are we headed for a correction?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be corrections coming. Here's what I think, because I think it's 40% of all dollars in circulation have been printed in the last 12 months. What that tells us is that we have massive inflation coming, and it's already happened, right?
It happened. Yeah.
And so when inflation happens, so the government was trying to help, right? And I love Ronald Reagan's quote, the worst words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. It's like the worst thing. So what happens is, the government was trying to help, but what it did was make the rich richer and the poor poor.
Right.
Because anybody, like, essentially the dollar is worth so much less. So anybody that had hard assets, real estate, gold and silver, even cryptocurrency, any hard assets, those became more valuable because they weren't being debased. Anybody that had no assets,
savings.
It's like a melting ice cube. Well, even what you have is disappearing. And so what happened was, those that have, my net worth just skyrocketed because I own a lot of real estate.
Right.
And so I think that's really the key there. And I think there's more inflation coming because I don't think the government folks are getting it. And so, which is crazy. We're still paying people to stay home. And like, I was at a restaurant yesterday where he said, we've had record months. Like, on the walls, it said, we've had record months, but I can't find people to work. So we're shutting down on Mondays. And I'm like, we're still paying people to stay home.
Exactly.
What the heck?
And when you're paying someone to stay home, which is $10, $12 an hour, why would they go outside and work for $8 an hour? That just doesn't make sense, right?
Oh, no doubt. And everybody says, oh, well, that's because you're the wealthy job people, all the other stuff. And I'm like, no, this is what works. You work and you make money. That's how it works.
Exactly. No, this is great. Let's take a quick break. And after the break, we'll go through the same questions I ask every guest.
You're listening to the Wealth Matters Podcast. The Wealth Matters Podcast. For more info about what we do, check us out at wealthmatters.com. It's wealth, WEALTH, matters, MATRS.com.
Welcome back to Wealth Matters Podcast. And Chris shared a lot of golden nuggets about how investor can keep making money by working with agents as well, with the right agents. So this was great. Thank you, Chris. Are you ready for fire round?
Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Would you be changing any business or investment strategy after this pandemic is over?
Well, yeah, I've realized, how fragile the economy can be, right? I mean, literally, when I heard the world may shut down, I'm like, dang, I need to have more reserves ready to go.
I agree. Favorite real estate or finance or any other related book?
Oh my gosh. Probably the Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yeah, that's a great one. Any tool or website you recommend or you cannot live without in your business?
Oh man. So yeah, that's a great question. I love Boomtown, which is my CRM. It allows me to leverage my communications with people.
Okay, Boomtown. Okay, I'll look into it as well. Any advice for beginner investors?
Yeah, massive imperfect action. Just do it. Don't pretend like research is research. Research is most of the time procrastination. Just start moving towards the right direction. Don't sit still.
Man, this advice almost I repeat every week, so I could not agree more. Like, you can read as many books as you want. You can listen to as many podcasts as you can and go to as many conferences as you can. But unless you take an action, you are not going to learn. You are not going to be able to make money if you don't take action. And don't wait for blockbuster deal. That's the biggest problem. Everyone thinks, oh, because Chris did it, because Alpesh did it, I got to find the same deal. It took us a while as well,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I coached soccer for years and years and years and years. I'll tell you what, you can read every book on soccer you want, but until you get out and start playing the game, you're never going to actually get it.
Yeah, it's the same thing I mentioned about doctors, right? Because I have a family of doctors, even though I'm an engineer. And I always mention, they learned everything in the school, but till they perform a heart surgery, they would not know what will happen, right? So how do you give back?
How do I give back? So my wife and I are generous. We give a big portion of everything we make back to organizations we love and support. I personally volunteer a lot. I lead like our men's group at church. I just spend a lot of time working with folks. And I was also, in youth ministry, mentoring young folks for years and years and years.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. This was fun. How can my listeners reach out to you?
Yeah, so I try to answer every DM on Instagram, which is Craddock, Craddrock, not my last name, but an old high school nickname, which is really cheesy. So Craddock is my Instagram handle. My webpage, chriscraddock.com. I think there's a place there where you can get a millionaire reading list, basically the list I think anybody needs to read if you want to level up to be a millionaire. Your business will grow to the extent you grow. And then if you are doing anything where you have leads coming in, go to wholesalinginc.com/revive. And we can look and see whether there's a way to monetize your dead leads. Again, wholesalinginc.com/revive. And that's the deal there. And if you're looking at getting a real estate license or getting into that section, pop me a message on Instagram. I would love to chat with you. I'll give you some advice, free advice, no pitches, no sales, no strings attached. Just happy to help because that's what people did for me.
That's perfect. Have a good one, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Matters podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes so others can enjoy the show too. Have a great week and happy investing!